Good morning. This is M.L. Curry with my 15 minutes on workers' compensation and personal injury. Today's program is directed to the individual who is not the injured worker. Ordinarily, we talk directly to the injured worker. We give them information on how to do things to matriculate through the workers' compensation system, as well as what to do in the event the person is involved in a motor vehicle accident and the accident was not that person's fault. We've gone over those things, but today's program actually is directed to you, the person who has not been injured, the person who has someone in their immediate world, somebody in your family or in your circle has been injured. So this is the reach out program for you to give you some tools on what you may be able to do to help that individual. Some people would take that person on as a ministry. Another person would take that person on as a project. It doesn't matter how you approach the individual, but it is important that you do. The person who is an injured worker is struggling with the workers' compensation system because it is the most difficult system in the civil law that I have run into. And of course, you know, I have attorney friends in all areas of civil as well as criminal law, but mainly in civil law is what you're dealing with when you've been injured on the job. The person first recognize that this person had a job at a time. You know, they were working just like yourself. And once they've been injured, then they're not working anymore. And they exhibit certain signs that when they approach you or you approach them, that you should be aware of to recognize the fact that this person is really in trouble. And that is best if you reach out to the person before things get really, really bad. Some people have a tendency to wait way too long before they make it to my office. They come to my office sometimes 8, 9, 10 months after their accident has occurred, and they're limiting themselves to things that they may be eligible for and may be able to do, strategies that we're not able to employ 8 months into an accident, as opposed to my seeing the individual 1 to 2 weeks after they've been involved in an accident. So when you notice that a person that is in your world is having problems with workers' compensation, the person is struggling, some of the things that you want to look for is whether or not the person just seems to be overwhelmed. Any least little thing that you say to them that kind of makes them fly off the handle. Sometimes a person will express doubts about their future. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what's going to happen next. And they're afraid of what's going to be the outcome of a hearing that they may be scheduled for, because the insurance company schedules hearings all the time, or an exam that they may be scheduled for by the insurance company, either with an RME doctor, which is one that is appointed by the insurance company, or they may be having anxiety about going to see a designated doctor, because what has happened most of the time is that the person knows that they're going to be going to see a designated doctor. He's only going to examine one part of their body. And they've actually had 2 or 3 parts of their body that they're dealing with that they know that were injured in the accident. So sometimes when you come up on a person and they start talking to you, they may exhibit signs of anxiety or mistrust. And they start talking about how they don't trust the insurance company. Sometimes people talk about how they don't trust the Texas Department of Insurance, the Division of Workers' Compensation, and their mistrust may be true, it may not be true, but they're exhibiting those kinds of behaviors to you, and they're talking about their doctor and how they don't trust their doctor and how that person is not making them well or making them well fast enough. Sometimes people talk about their current attorney that they have working on their case, and they know that there's nothing happening, but they've got a lot of issues that should be being addressed, but they're not being addressed. Well, this person, you need to inform that person that you saw this program and that you know that there's help for that individual. You know that they can get help from some of my sponsors, which are Total Health Care Management, Injured Workers Pharmacy, and Memorial MRI. And if you don't have access to this particular program, you may need to write these things down. But if you do have access to this particular program, meaning that you may be hearing it on the radio between 10:15 and 10:30 a.m. on Monday mornings, but other people hear the program and follow the program on the website. They would be following at www attymlcurry.net. And at ATTYML, you can follow the program on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. The sponsors that you may come into contact with to try to help this individual before they make it to my office, which my phone number is 713-222-2400, you may want to direct the person to have their treatment transferred over to Total Health Care Management, because they're going to get the quality care and the evidence building that's needed to be able to address the disputes, and the disputes are the things that the person is having problems with. A lot of medical providers will not treat a person if the part of the body has been disputed by the insurance carrier, whereas Total Health Care Management is going to do that because they know that this is the information that I'm going to need, the evidence that I'm going to need to be able to prove the person's case. The Total Health Care Management number is 713-522-6911. And they have 4 locations throughout the city so that you can go and visit them at Meyerland Plaza. They're at Chimney Rock and Belfort. 45 South, they're at 45 South and College, with the College and Airport exit. 45 North, they have a location at Tidwell and Airline. Take either one of those exits and then you'll get to Tidwell and Airline. And then also they're located at 12,000 Richmond, and that's where their principal offices are. This week, and I think part of last week, they were trying to do the program from the principal offices with myself and Dr. Parvin Ajdarenia, and that's at 12,000 Richmond. All of those locations answer to one phone number, 713-522-6911. Sometimes people get involved in accidents and they may be approaching you, the coworker or friend of that individual. You could even be a relative of that individual or a church member, a prayer partner, and that person is telling you that they're having a hard time getting back and forth to the doctor. Well, if they're under the 28 miles as far as the DWC 48 is concerned, then they're not going to be reimbursed for that, because you have to be traveling one way greater than I think it's 28 miles, and they maybe moved it up to 35 miles by now, because they change the rules all the time for people who want transportation reimbursement. If you are not traveling greater than that particular minimum distance of 28 or 35, then you're not reimbursed for that. Well, Total Health Care Management provides transportation for individuals who are having a hard time getting back and forth to their therapy, getting back and forth to their doctor visits, as well as chronic pain management is something that is very difficult for people to get back and forth to, because when you go to chronic pain management, you're going to be there in 4-hour stints. So that's, you got to get there by 8, and then you get out at 12, or either you get there at 1 and then you get out at 5. And some programs like work hardening and work conditioning, these programs are 8 hours. So you're going to wait till you get your transportation together, or you can call Total Health Care Management, as I indicated. One of my other sponsors is Memorial MRI. They're at 713-461-3399 over on Campbell. And IWP is at 281-753-6770. And IWP provides a person's medication, and Memorial MRI takes direction from Total Health Care Management in reference to providing diagnostic tests. A lot of times people are involved in accidents, and they're part of the network. And the network doctor is telling the individual that they don't need to have an MRI done. And, after so much time goes by, basically 30 days, and you're going to therapy 3 times a week, and you're hurting before you go to therapy, and the person's hurting after they get out of therapy, and then, you're up all night trying to take medication. If this isn't working after 30 days or so, then a basic diagnostic test needs to be done. And sometimes the network doctors will not recommend that test, because they work basically for the insurance company and for your employer, and not for you, the individual. Well, you're going to need a place to go where you can have the MRI done, and I suggest Memorial MRI. So, as I said, this program basically is directed to the individuals who are who has an injured worker in their world, someone, their family member or friend or relative has become injured, and then the person needs to get the help that you want to give that individual. Sometimes the most informed individuals are radio listeners. And it's because radio listeners, like yourself, engage in intellectual conversations, and the radio talk show programs are used to stimulate that intellectual conversation so that it can be distributed throughout the community. That's one of the major functions of radio, and it is why my program appears on the radio once weekly. It's because of the learning process. I taught school for 5 years back in District 189 in East St. Louis, Illinois, and I taught inner city individuals from kindergarten through high school, and after high school I taught pregnant mothers and dropouts and people who had gotten rejected from the military and who were trying to get their GED, trying to go back to high school and get their GED to get their life together. So I have that experience myself, and when I share that information with other individuals, I'm really informing the person that if you're talking to an injured worker, you're really going to have to expose that person 3 times. The average person learns after 3 exposures. And here, the first exposure is to get the person to listen to the live show on the radio in the morning, 10:15 to 10:30. The second exposure is to get the person to visit the website, which I've indicated is www.attymlcurry.net. And for these individuals who are dinosaurs, you're going to have to get on the internet for them, access the program, and then click on weekly video, and then just sit them in front of the laptop or the monitor, and so that they can listen to the program. Because people sometimes brush you off the very first time that you introduce them to new information. They have to see it more than one time. And the third time is word of mouth. A lot of times people won't pick up on the fact that they need to get some help until they hear it from another individual. Sometimes you can't hear it from the person yourself who is indicating to that person that they need to get some help. So sometimes they have to hear it from you, and they have to hear it from somebody else before they're actually able to accept the information and make the decision that they need to make. So each time that the person receives the exposure, it brings them closer to making a decision. The closer they come to making a decision, the closer they come to taking some action. So I'm informing you that you need to be persistent with this individual, politely persistent, but you will end up being a blessing to this individual to help them to get the professional help that they need through calling my office at 713-222-2400 or calling to Total Health Care Management at 713-522-6911. I want to take this time to, I was listening to a radio program the other day, and they were asking people if they believe in God, believe in heaven and hell and things like that. And one of the things that was tripping them up is that they were just not able to see certain things like miracles being happening when they extrapolate back to biblical times. But what I usually inform that individual is that you can't always see things that you have to believe in. And that, of course, ties into Hebrews 11:1, which is one of my favorites, which says faith is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. So you can have evidence of something that you don't even see. It's like you believe there's a China, but you've never been there. One of the other things that I have to help individuals with is the person may not think that they are as smart as the adjuster or as smart as the attorney on the other side that they're working against, because that person is working against them, and may not be as smart as their doctor. So, but you don't have to be as smart as these individuals. To be successful, you only need to know that you're one phone call away from getting the expert help that you need. I want to take this time to send out a couple of shout outs since I don't have very much more time. But I want to give a shout out to HISD, AISD, meaning Aldine, Pasadena, Cy-Fair, and A-Leaf ISD. And to help the individual, you need to know that frequency builds confidence. I said that very early on in the program. And, I want to give a shout out to all my drivers over at UPS, McLean, BFI, and Central Freight. And a special shout out to the individuals working at Continental, because, they've been bought out by United. So, y'all just hang in there. I want to say that, I've enjoyed doing this program, and you can contact me at 713-222-2400. And, at the website attymlcurry.net. Thank you so much. God bless you.